So, our next speaker is a new CEO. It's Mr. Nick Reed from Vodafone. Please welcome Nick Reed. Hey, Nick.
Good to see you.
Good to see you. Please have a seat.
David's put a fantastic job on again.
Well, thank you. Well, now it's over to you, my friend.
By the way, I got one request, which is we all want, as speakers, your laser show and club music to come on to.
Yeah, you can have it. No problems, Nick. Well, first of all, welcome to MWC. It's great to have you here and have Vodafone presented. Now, you have worked in this sector for many years, but you're reasonably new as a CEO. So what is your sort of view on the industry from a CEO perspective?
Well, yes, you're right. So I've been with Vodafone now for 17 years. I've also been sort of a similar amount of time in 3 other sectors, so retail, logistics, media. So I think I've got a contrast on business models, ways of working, etc. You know, I love telecoms. I think I'm immensely proud about the fact that we are the sector of sectors. That we are the ones that will enable the transformation to a digital society, really helping businesses, consumers really embrace the opportunity going forward. So I think it's a great opportunity, and I think that pivotal role is really understood in the US, in Asia, in Africa, because there's the right balance of competition, regulation and investment. But I think we haven't quite got there in Europe. And the question is, why haven't we? And I would say that a lot of operators turn to regulators and say it's all due to regulation. But I think as an industry, I think we need to start with ourselves first. And I think your team did a recent study showing that our sector is only slightly ahead of tobacco and quite a way off financial services in customer perception. And frankly, though they're very good industry sectors and good company, I'd like to think that our pivotal role would have us more advanced. And you have to ask yourself, well, why is that happening? And I think there's been sort of 3 inhibitors in my view. I think the first is, as an industry, we've been a little bit protectionist in mindset. I'd say, secondly, we don't collaborate well enough as an industry. And then finally, I think, in terms of customer needs, we are not fast enough to follow their needs.
The protectionistic bit, how do you mean?
Well, if I was going to give some examples, I'd say, like, let's pick messaging as an example. You know, we were a bit protectionist around text revenues, and in the process didn't collaborate well enough on rich messaging services as a platform. I know we're now doing it, but it was too late, and now over-the-top players have moved into that space. You could pick roaming as an example. Again, that was something that was a real pain point for consumers, and we just didn't address it fast enough, and regulators had to step in. And so my concern is one of, because we didn't move to address these points, it provokes a regulator to try and moderate our behavior. And I think what's happened as a result in Europe is the fact that we've had extensive regulation. It's created a lot of competition, which in itself has fragmented spectrum, which then gives poorer coverage and network performance. So we've not reached, in my opinion, the optimal situation going forward.
We haven't been nimble enough, we haven't listened enough, we haven't been fast enough, basically. So with that, that's a very honest statement. And we're now on the cusp of a new era, the 5G era. So how should we then, from your view, sort of change things? And we have an opportunity, I would think, with 5G around the corner, and it's a very honest assessment. How do you see these 2 things play out?
Yeah, I think you're right to say that a 5G era on our doorstep is an opportunity now to reflect and change going forward. I'd sort of call out 3 things. I'd say, first of all, we need to start with the customer. We need to be more transparent, and we need to have simple, clear products, services, price plans, really to win back the trust of the consumer.
Have we been too complicated before?
Absolutely. I think we've been opaque in our plans and our structures. with that degree of optimization, if you like. And I think we need to learn lessons of other industries going forward.
Oh, that's interesting.
And I'd say, secondly, I think from a collaboration of industry, with 5G and the need to invest, I think we need to do a lot more sharing. And you know that we've made an announcement with O2 in the UK. We've also made an announcement in Italy where we're going to do more sharing going forward. And I think this is the way that we can improve coverage, we can improve the performance of our networks, we can ensure the environmental, I mean, you were making that very clear in your presentation, the environmental impact can be improved, and we can improve returns for our industry. Because frankly, telecom sector in Europe today, if you look at it versus all other sectors, we are the worst performing from a total shareholders returns basis for 3 years running. So things need to change.
Dramatically, especially as Stockholm showed 400 times more data consumption by 2025, and revenue growth is barely 1%.
Exactly.
Right. So if we take, great, if we take a look at Vodafone as such, what are you going to change to try to sort of amend this poor performance that we have done in many, many years in Europe?
Yeah, so I went out in November with our revised strategy, our refreshed strategy. It had a number of elements to it that were changes on the past. I'm passionate about us being a purpose-led organization. We want to connect for a better future, and we want to improve 1 billion lives in an inclusive digital society whilst halving our environmental impact. And so the first part of that strategy involves really focusing on customers and driving a deeper customer engagement. To do that, we want to make sure that we're connecting everyone and everything to each other. We want to play that pivotal role going forward. And we want to do it with seamless, simple propositions, products, services. And to be able to do that, we need to be digital first in our mindset. So we need to design end-to-end digital and be radical simpler in the way we approach things. And I think really improve that customer experience. I think the second thing we want to emphasize is the need to do more strategic partnering. And we want to build platforms for our industry to enable that digital society. And this morning we went out with 2 strategic partnership announcements. One was with Arm in the IoT space. So what we're doing there is taking Vodafone's global IoT platform and global connectivity and marrying it with Arm's software and platform capabilities with the goal of launching products faster to market, more seamless, better experience at a lower cost. I think it's a really interesting collaboration.
Absolutely. I mean, that is typically what we mean with moving away from just connectivity to intelligent connectivity, creating this smarter platform. And that's what you're doing, right?
Yes. And we also did an announcement this morning with AT&T in the automotive space. I mean, our automotive customers are keen to have a unification of products and services that work across Africa, Europe, US, and we'll do that collaboration with them. So I think building those partnerships is really important. And then finally, building gigabit networks. I mean, we're all about fast, high-speed, fixed or mobile networks. And again, as I say, we want to do a lot of collaboration with other people that have the same mindset in terms of quality of networks going forward.
And what about artificial intelligence and big data? Do you see that coming in as well, playing a role, or?
No, it's absolutely fundamental. We are going through a huge transformation within our business. We have about 2,000 people now working in agile squads, really embracing digital, and then building what is effectively a big data lake for us to then start putting our platforms on top. So we are really going through a business transformation.
I think this is so interesting. I was interviewed this morning on CNBC, and she was talking to me about the dismay of the industry, and I'm so thrilled to hear what you're saying, because we are now really taking steps to simplify our offerings, to augment our offerings, and to become much more customer friendly. That must be the right way, and I think you have the perfect background of being in retail, etc. You
Exactly.
sort of understand this, right? You're not an engineer like me. You're a more normal person.
Yeah, I know where the switch for the station is, yes.
Yeah, you know that. Well, that's good. Now, I need to ask you about network security and integrity as well. That's, it's, as we know, a hot topic right now. And I know that Vodafone, as well as all mobile operators, take security and integrity with the utmost respect. So how do you see the turbulence, the media around the vendor community, the supply chain issue, if you would like?
Yeah, look, I think it's an industry issue. I think it's one of, there's been a lot of concentration in the supply chain. And so from an industry perspective, we have 3 very significant players. There are other players as well, but 3 very significant players. And what's important strategically for us is a degree of resilience. You can't be overly reliant on 1, 2 players. You need a degree of choice to keep that resilience. As you correctly said, I think that in terms of operators, paramount importance is security, and we have that as a very top objective. We've been working for a long, long time with governments, security agencies, in terms of that whole assurance, testing and certification of network equipment, and we will continue to do that. I think what has been a little bit disappointing in terms of the news flow around this topic is that in some way 5G is this new network, which is far from the truth. You know, in the end, 5G is just a layer on top of a 4G network. That 4G network already has a series of layers of security from the radio all the way down into the core. So by adding 5G, you're just adding another layer on top of a multi-layer security. And that comes with its own security, which is at least as good, if not better, than the 4G layer. So I think these are really important considerations. And I'd also say, increasingly, internet traffic is end-to-end encrypted anyway. So I'd view this very much that operators are very focused on a multi-layer approach. We are trying to make sure that we are fact-based, that we are managing it from a risk focus.
Right, and it's 5G sort of from a network perspective, an evolution of 4G,
exactly.
Right? And it's being built upon that. And most likely it's going to take many years before we have 5G standalone. It's going to be non-standalone together.
Exactly.
With 4G, right? Okay, shifting gears a little bit quicker answer maybe. So, I mean, you're obviously a very successful and seasoned leader. What is the best advice that you have ever been given when you enter into a new role? Is it this?
Oh, by the way, in this job, you get a lot of advice, okay? Including my wife gives me extensive advice on a regular basis for work-life balance. But, I mean, if I was going to... There were 2 that were... I mean, you get a lot, but there were 2 that I found actually sort of more aligned to how I view things. One was around... it's more important to have quality, deep relationships than a wide network. So that means I won't know you all by the end of today. Because in the end, this room is packed full of very bright, insightful, this is what I've been told, people.
They are, don't worry, they are.
And in the end, you know, you can help me ensure Vodafone is a better business and make me a better leader. And therefore, I want to spend time with people that are thought-provoking rather than just chasing a wide network. I'd say the second one was about big multinationals like ours is an institution. And in the end, your success is whether your institution is stronger at the end of your tenure than at the start. And I think that is a really great lens to look at things, because in the end, you're making sure that everything you do is in the interest of the company for the long term, even if it puts you under a little bit of short-term pressure.
Yeah, so you would actually hand over something that is better than when you... Okay, good. We're we are out of time, but I have to ask you one more question. What about MWC 19? What are you really looking forward to see here, except having this chat with me? But
of course,
yeah.
Look, my diary is I think I've got about 30 meetings. I think importantly with strategic partners. So it's deepening that relationship that I'm looking forward to, the innovation, the products and services, and just connecting with everyone. I think it's a fantastic conference, and I'm proud to be associated with it.
Nick, thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, Nick Reed from Vodafone.
Good luck.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much.